Well, they're on stage now, Emily, Brad, Dr. Manny Sethi. It's a town hall. He'll be joined on stage with Senator Ted Cruz. We're live at Volunteer International, 626 Airways Boulevard. Dr. Manny Sethi, Madison County Town Hall, featuring Senator Ted Cruz. You can watch this on our Facebook page. Emily, tell them what's the Facebook page.
Oh, it's facebook.com/News Talk West Tennessee.
Look for News Talk West Tennessee on Facebook and join us here live wherever you are. We'll be right back on the Dan Reaves Show.
Man, I love West Tennessee. I love it so much. I'm so grateful to y'all. You know, for the last 9 years with our nonprofit Healthy Tennessee, we've been taking care of patients all across the state. But folks, we are, as Senator Cruz just reminded me, 96 hours from the closing of the polls. And we're going to win this thing. You know, as I look out in this audience, I think about the journey that my parents made. These two immigrants from India who came here the right way. They came here legally with an L, looking for a better life for their unborn kids. And I was born and raised, grew up here in rural Tennessee. And today, here I stand before you running for the United States Senate. That is the American story. That is the power of our country. And you know, folks, it's time to put a true conservative in the United States Senate. And you know, right now it's unfortunate my opponent, he's launching all these attack ads, trying to spread all this mistruth. Just ask yourself this question. If I'm so liberal, how come Senator Ted Cruz is standing here with me right now? If I'm so liberal, oh yeah, I'm so liberal that Mark Levin and Senator Rand Paul and Senator Jim DeMint, they on our team too. That's right. And Thursday, we have a chance to put a true conservative in the United States Senate, folks. I've been asked this question a lot in the last 2 days, and I just want to talk about it. People were asking me a lot about this coronavirus, and here's the thing. I don't come to this lightly. You know, I'm a doctor. I've been thinking a lot about this. But I think it's time for this guy Fauci to go. What do you think? And where does Facebook and Twitter get off talking about hydroxychloroquine? You know, hydroxychloroquine saved the life of one of my colleagues who was admitted in the ICU almost on a ventilator. Where did Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook get his medical degree? Where did he get his MD? Get these politicians and these Democrats out of our science. And the time has come, folks. Are y'all sick and tired of this? Have you heard enough? Have you heard enough of this mob that's burning and rioting in the streets? You say anything, they call you a racist? Well, look, folks, the Washington establishment, as Senator Cruz affectionately calls them, the Washington cartel, you know, they never thought we'd be here today. They never thought we had a chance. But here we stand. And in the next 4 days, they're going to continue to throw everything but the kitchen sink at us to try to steal this Senate seat. But we can't let them. Are you going to let them? No! We can't let them, folks. So, amen. Amen. It's time that you can't go to church, but you can burn and riot the streets. Is that right? Now, folks, in these next 4 days, I need you to dig deep. I need you to call 10 people and get them to the polls. I need you to donate to our campaign if you can afford it. $50, $100, $1,000. If you got a check that you can write to us, if you can go online. Every dollar counts now to keep us on television. But you know, folks, I just want to introduce to you one of the greatest conservative leaders of our time, a man who needs no introduction, who took on the establishment just like I did down in Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Ted Cruz!
God bless the great state of Tennessee. Manny, it's terrific to be with you. Let me start by getting this out of the way right at the front, because I know all y'all are going to tell me it anyway. Without Tennessee, there'd be no Texas. grateful for the hard-scrabble, freedom-loving patriots that came and founded the great state of Tennessee and came and founded the great state of Texas and came and founded the United States of America, and that is the legacy we will take. So this is the second time in 10 days that I've been here in Tennessee. Let me tell you why. This race, right here, this Senate race, matters.
Right.
The eyes of the entire country are locked on Tennessee. In Washington, D.C., they are losing their minds. You know, when I came here last, I asked Manny and Maya, I said, all right, so are they attacking you? They said, oh yeah. And I said, you should take that as a compliment.
Right.
It's when they stop attacking you that you should get worried. If suddenly they stop, you got to say, all right, what do they know that I don't know? But they are dumping the kitchen sink right now on this campaign. Because, 2 months ago, the swamp had decided there wasn't a race in Tennessee. They picked their candidate, and it was done. And the actual voters showing up at the polls, Washington, D.C. thought was a needless formality. But the voters of Tennessee had something to say about that. And what y'all are doing, the swamp follows a pattern over and over again. Number one, they always tell you who they fear. It's not hard to figure it out. The one they fear is the one they run millions of dollars attacking. And boy, are they showing it right now. And it's interesting, they always attack you by pretending to be who we are. Have you noticed that in Republican primaries, just once, I'd like to see a candidate walk up and say, hi, I'm a spineless Republican squish. I don't stand for much of anything, but I sure do love my lobbyists. Wouldn't that be refreshing in a bizarre sort of... But they never do that. They get out on the campaign trail, and they are rock-ribbed conservatives. Until they actually get to Washington. Let me tell you, as bad as you think Washington, D.C. is, it's worse. It is fundamentally corrupt. And am I the only person in the country who thinks much of the country is going stark-raving nuts right now? Like you turn on the television set, and each and every day, the Democratic Party has unleashed the absolute crazies in their party. What are they embracing? Socialism. 4 years ago, socialism was this fringe leftist thing. You had Bernie Sanders, kind of crazy Uncle Bernie, and all the other Democrats pretended they weren't socialists. Now what's happened since then? They're all running behind Bernie going, yeah, we're just as bat crap crazy as he is. By the way, Manny, am I right that's a technical medical diagnosis, bat crap crazy?
It's an old medical textbook.
You look at what's happening in our streets. We're seeing rioting in the streets. Now let me be clear, the Constitution protects your right and my right and everybody's right to speak, to protest. You can stand on the public street and you can speak, and I will defend your right to say whatever you want to say, because that's what the Bill of Rights gives you.
Right.
But that right ends the moment you hurt somebody else.
Right.
You don't have a right to assault a fellow citizen. You don't have a right to firebomb a police car.
Right.
You don't have a right to loot and burn and destroy a small business, and you have a right to murder police officers. And we're seeing in these angry protests, look, the protests started out as some people who were genuinely and understandably standing up for racial justice. All right, I respect that. That's important. We should all stand for racial justice.
Right.
And then they got corrupted by violent anarchists and Marxists,
Right.
who were using them as an opportunity to try to destroy the country. Did you see this week in Portland? They were burning Bibles.
That's crazy.
They tell you who they are. They're not hiding who they are. And look, it'd be one thing if there are a few kind of fringe crazy. That'd be one thing. It wouldn't be good, but that'd be one thing. But here's what's really frightening. An awful lot of Democrats, mayors, governors, have made the cynical political decision that they stand with the domestic terrorists rather than their own citizens. City of Minneapolis, the police department. I just met the sheriff a second ago. The police department in Minneapolis put out guidance. If you run into a violent criminal, just be prepared to give them your wallet or your purse or your watch and do what they say.
No.
I got a better idea. You run into a violent criminal, how about the police show up and throw his rear end in jail? This stuff shouldn't be complicated. And you know, you look at Washington. The Washington Swan is both parties. You know, as I travel around the country, I'll often encounter young college kids, high school kids who are Bernie Sanders supporters. And I'll tell them, I'll say, you know, I actually agree with Bernie. And they look at me really confused. They're like, what are you talking about? And I said, look, Bernie says Washington's corrupt. He says both parties are in on it. Republicans and Democrats, they get in bed with big business and special interests and lobbyists, and the people who are getting screwed are the working men and women of this country. So you know what? That is exactly right. That's what's happening in Washington. And I tell them, the only place I disagree with Bernie is on the solution. If Washington is corrupt, why on earth would you want to give Washington more power rather than less power?
Right.
These guys are all a bunch of corrupt, tyrannical zealots. Let's put them in charge of everything. Like, how exactly does that work? And it's why this race matters. Look, when I'm looking across the country at races, I got to tell you, the core of principled conservatives in the U.S. Senate, that's a pretty lonely contingent. It's easy in the Senate to go along, to get along. You know, all of us were taught in junior high that invertebrates can't walk upright. And yet politicians disprove that every single day. I did actually, since Manny's an orthopedic surgeon, I did ask him if he's ever done a spine transplant before. Because we need 100 of them in the Senate. I will say also, I do think it's great that in term limits, absolutely, I'd throw them all out. I do think it's fitting that we're meeting at a commercial truck dealership. The thing I was looking around is to see if they have any industrial-sized dump trucks. Because I got to tell you, there is a lot of manure in Washington.
Let me know. I'll get on that.
We're 96 hours out from this election. It's the final sprint. You can see the lineup in this race. I'm standing with Rand Paul, with Jim DeMint, with Mark Levin. Mark is the great one.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael W. Smith, I promise you I won't sing to you. And the other side is dumping money. Millions of dollars. Because they're terrified. But the strength of this campaign you're looking at. Look around this room, the men and women here. I have a very simple request for you. Election day is Thursday. I want to ask every person here to go out and vote for Manny 10 times. No, we're not Democrats. I'm not suggesting voter fraud, although I saw a reporter in the back pull out his notepad and start writing. Ooh, I got a story here. No, I'm not saying anything like that. But it's real simple. If you come out and vote on Thursday, and you get on the phone and you find 9 other people, and I don't mean 9 other people figuratively, I mean pull out a notepad and write down 9 people you know, and call them and ask them to vote. And if you get 9 people to vote who wouldn't have voted otherwise, you had just voted 10 times. And that is what the swamp never has. They have unlimited money where they pretend that they're you. But they don't have the men and women of the grassroots who know how to work. And so I'm here to tell you, this race is close. I don't know who's going to win. It's going to depend on the work that y'all do and the men and women of Tennessee do in the next 4 days. And do not underestimate the arsenal that is arrayed against you. But I got to tell you, I believe in the people. And I believe the people want someone with backbone.
Right.
Someone with principle.
Yes.
And I think the people also want a happy people.
Right.
Listen, Manny's a lot of things. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. It doesn't hurt that Manny is a world-renowned doctor. I want you to fast forward to November and think, and by the way, the Democrats are going to claim all Republicans are voodoo witch doctors who don't believe in science and don't believe in medicine.
Right.
Well, good luck doing that with Manny as the candidate. It'll be kind of interesting seeing them start, seeing them try.
That's right.
That's true. And truthfulness. But also as a happy warrior. Look, the Democrats have a couple of old faithfuls. Every election, they go out and call everyone who disagrees with them a racist.
Right.
Doesn't matter what the facts are. They just scream racist. Well, with Manny as the candidate, good luck with that.
Right.
Let me know how that works out for you. You go with that as your primary theme, and we'll just see how that... We need to be happy, joyful warriors. Particularly because the left has gotten so shrill. They're so angry.
Yeah.
How many radical leftists does it take to screw in a light bulb? That's not funny! You know, lighten up, Francis. Some of y'all got that. Like, we just need to have fun, have joy. Particularly because what they're selling doesn't work. Socialism doesn't work. Every place on earth that it's been applied, it has led to misery and poverty and suffering and death. You know, you'd be angry too if you were trying to sell that pile of manure. And our ideas work. Freedom works.
Right.
If you care about defeating poverty, and all of us care about defeating poverty, the greatest enemy poverty has ever seen is the American free enterprise system. Why is it that Manny's parents came to America? Because there's no place on earth where there's more opportunity, where there's more freedom, where there's more of a chance, if you're filled with big hopes and big dreams, to achieve whatever you want.
Right.
We're defending who America is. And right now you see the left. They hate America.
All that is good.
Let's talk for a moment about statues. You know, it started off with some Confederate statues. Okay, reasonable people can disagree. We can talk about the Civil War, have a reasonable conversation. Then very quickly it moved from Confederate statues to George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. Then it moved to Abraham Lincoln and Ulysses Grant. Because, you know, they were such big Confederates.
That frees the slave.
And it finally reached the point of utter idiocy when you had leftist vandals vandalizing a statue of Frederick Douglass, the great abolitionist. Look, at that point, it's not about slavery, it's not about civil rights, it's about they hate America and are trying to tear down everything about this country. I'm supporting Manny because I want the next senator from Tennessee to be someone who loves America and is willing to stand up proudly and say this is the greatest country in the history of the world, and we are going to keep fighting to make America greater. We're going to keep fighting to defend our freedom. We're going to keep fighting for the future and fighting for our kids. That's what Manny's doing. That's what Diana's doing. That's what all of us are doing. And together, Tennessee's going to lead the way. Thank you. God bless you.
Listen, folks, today, one more thing from you on the vote. We need everybody, we've got to keep this man on TV. If you've seen some other TV commercials, we've got to keep him on TV. We've got people stationed around here. If everybody, wave your hand, all the volunteers and help, please send one of these folks and give what you can. $25, $50, $100. Everybody here gave $100. We can keep them on TV until Election Day. So please dig deep. I know most of you have already given. Give a little bit more. Thank you so much for coming.
Dr. Manny's coming over.
Oh, let me get out of the way
well,
here,
let's
Dan.
wait and see if he's coming over right now. He's Dr. Manny. What's your thoughts on Dr. Manny? Well, here he comes.
Hey, let me say hi, Doc.
Hey, how are you?
Here you go. I'm going to give this to him. Thanks, Dave. Talk to you later.
Thank you, Larry. It's great. Larry Lowrance. Larry, yeah, you just got bumped, Larry. I'm kidding you. Larry's a great American. Dr. Manny Sethi, candidate for U.S. Senate, Republican primary, here today with Ted Cruz, maybe the highest profile U.S. Senator there is in America. How you doing, Doc?
I'm good, brother. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here in Jackson.
It's good to see you again. The folks in West Tennessee, what does it mean that you're here in Jackson on election week here in West Tennessee?
Well, I think it shows my commitment to the people in West Tennessee. I've been traveling West Tennessee for almost a decade, taking care of patients for free through my nonprofit Healthy Tennessee. But we're here today because, look, I think West Tennessee needs a champion in the U.S. Senate, someone who understands and cares about the issues here, and I really do. So today, a true conservative, Ted Cruz, and I are here. We're barnstorming West Tennessee, talking about the issues that matter. Because, look, right now, the Washington cartel, Mitt Romney and McConnell and all these folks, they're pouring money in here, attacking me and my family, running a negative campaign. And we just got to push back in these final hours because we're going to win. They know it. We know it. And I believe the people in West Tennessee want a Christian conservative outsider. They don't want Mitt Romney's best friend. And that's where we're at.
McConnell, you mentioned him. Is he a great example of being somewhere just too long? Just being in the Senate just too long?
Well, I think he's done a lot of great stuff. He, the conservative judges, I think he single-handedly really helped the president during this impeachment garbage that they were trying to run. So he's a nice man. But look, here's the thing. We can't just keep electing politicians who are going to stand in line behind the Washington establishment and the leadership in this cartel. We got to take on these folks. We need a true conservative in Washington. My opponent, you elect him, he is owned by the special interests. and the Mitt Romney Network. In fact, Mitt Romney's National Finance Network has poured a lot of money into a super PAC attacking me. And I just think we need a different path. We need a true Christian conservative outsider, someone who's going to fight this mob, who's burning and looting and rioting, someone who's going to openly say, look, I think it's time to fire this guy Fauci. I'm sick and tired of him. I think he's a disaster. Someone who's going to advocate that we get the left-wing Democrats, Facebook and Twitter out of our medicine, for example, like hydroxychloroquine. If I'm a doctor, someone's a patient, why can't we use hydroxychloroquine? I don't understand that.
What do you think? Emily had asked that question a little earlier.
Well, Brad asked that question,
and
but
Brad,
why can't we use it? Because it's effective?
Yeah,
is it too cheap?
It's just ridiculous. I mean, Facebook right now is freezing the accounts of physicians and other people who are talking about this, and I just it really sends off alarm bells in my head because look, where did Mark Zuckerberg get his MD? I don't know. That guy never went to med school. So why is Twitter and Facebook and Bernie Sanders and the Democrats getting in our business? If I want to prescribe a patient hydroxychloroquine for COVID, that's my right. That's their right as a patient. And furthermore, it's saved people's lives that I know who are on the front lines of this crisis. And so we just got to push back. And look, for the longest time, I've been silent about this. I've been watching. I've been trying to give this guy Fauci a chance. But, they're trying to advocate to shut down this country again, and look where it got us the first time. And so I just think it's time for the president to take him into the boardroom like he used to in the old days and say, you know what, you're fired.
How do you feel about face masks? And Dr. Fauci's now recently saying we should be covering our eyes as well.
Well, here's the thing. Has anyone asked the question about when Fauci and all these folks months ago were saying that masks don't work, and now they're saying that masks work? Now,
I brought it up.
Yeah, and now look, I'm not saying they don't work. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, how can you be so one-sided on an issue and then flip completely and be on the other side of an issue? And look,
if they're effective, that information didn't change in a matter of a couple of months, did it?
That's right.
Doctors and nurses in surgery, you're wearing them every time. If they do that, why didn't we have this in the first shutdown? It may have stopped if it's that effective, which I don't believe it is, but if it is, then it may have stopped a second surge.
You're absolutely right. And that's the hypocrisy that we got to start taking on in Washington. And none of these establishment Republicans will speak up. Look, I'm a doctor. I've spent my whole life in medicine. I created a nonprofit. I understand this stuff. It's just time to take on these folks who just they just make these random decisions. And America is the best when we're on the offense. I don't think that shutting down this country again is what we need. And I fear that these establishment Republicans and these Democrats, that's what they're going to do if we don't get control of this.
Dr. Manny Sethi with us. Doc, hydroxychloroquine plus vitamin D plus zinc. I was reading, they're studying it now. They think that may be a solution. What's your thoughts on that? And you're a doctor versus who were you just pointing out who's not a doctor?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Of
Facebook.
Mm-hmm. You wouldn't prescribe your patients anything that you didn't think could help them. We just had Brenda stop by. The lady said, "Hey, Dr. Manny saved my life." She's from Jackson. It was a great testimony for you, Doc. What's your thoughts on all that? And what about that mixture of hydrochloroquine?
So
where's my notes?
Get
I've got it phonetically spelled somewhere, Doc. But what's your thoughts on that mixture?
Well, let me just say this. First of all, the places I go across Tennessee, I see patients who we had the blessing to help save their lives. It's a pretty amazing feeling. And as a physician, I've looked at the literature, I've looked at the data, and the use of hydroxychloroquine, whether it's effective or not, is controversial. No one says it's not effective. We just don't know. But here's the thing. I have seen it help and save the lives of my friends who had coronavirus. So as a physician, I don't understand why we wouldn't use it. And furthermore, every drug has a downside. Right now they're saying, it can cause bad heart problems. But Tylenol can kill your liver. So Tylenol, if you take too much of it, can kill you. And so could hydroxychloroquine. If you took too much of it, any drug could kill you.
So can ibuprofen.
That's right. And so I think it's just
Viagra gives me a headache. That's always does.
So any drug is a problem if taken in too much. But the bottom line is, let the healthcare professionals deal with that. I think Facebook and Twitter need to get out of the way.
So they're labeling everything as, we're taking it down because this is misinformation, or it is not a verified source or something like that. But that's them sort of controlling freedom of speech.
And it's amazing that they'll do that, but when my opponent launches all these negative attacks, spending $3 million of misinformation, they don't freeze that, because it's establishment. And but instead they come after other folks, and I just, I think we got to take them on.
Last thing for you, Dr. Manny, they haven't have the support for the American people in the form of relief, in the form of checks, money. They haven't got it ready to roll, even though they knew it was going to run out at the end of last month. What's your thoughts on that? How can we come together? You would think a pandemic would bring both sides together, but evidently not.
Well, first of all, I think the CARES Act, where we took $2 trillion and threw it out of a helicopter hoping it land in the right place, was not the right answer. And I don't think we're there yet on this stimulus package. I wouldn't vote for it as is right now. Look, we can't keep incentivizing people to stay home. Small businesses, I was in Warren County. I was at this small breakfast diner, and a lady said, I can't find people to work for me because they're making more by staying at home. And so we need to figure this out. The federal government can't paralyze people and keep them at home. America is the best when we're on the offense. And the best stimulus to any economy is to open the economy. And that's what we need to be doing right now.
Dr. Manny Sethi. Dr. Manny Sethi here with Ted Cruz today, U.S. Senator Ted Cruz. Dr. Manny is running in the Republican primary for U.S. Senate. He wants Lamar Alexander's job. Dr. Manny, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much. God bless. I need your vote. I need your help, West Tennessee.
Tell them how to find out more about you, Doc.
You can go to drmannyforsenate.com. Thursday is Election Day. I need you to show up. We're last on the ballot, and we're going to win. I can feel it.
You feel good?
I feel great. I feel good. We had Ted Cruz here. We had hundreds of people here. We're heading off to Memphis now. You can just feel the conservative movement taking ownership of this. We're going to win.
Thank you, Dr. Manny.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the real McCoy's coming up next here live from Volunteer International. We're at 626 Airways Boulevard.